Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited. Flight Now flight sharing site is shut down. FAA issues UAS operation fact sheet. Sponsor wanted for the Reno Air Races. I'm Bri Cross. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. As we're finishing up production of Airborne, a late-breaking story hit our newsroom. Jim Campbell reports.
Thanks, Bri, and hi, folks. About an hour and a half ago, sitting out on our balcony looking to the south, Masako, my wife, and I, and two of our friends watched Falcon 9 lift off. A little bit of cloud in the way, but we were able to see good portions of the launch. And a little bit under 10 minutes later, we were able to see the final descent burn, setting it up for a beautiful vertical landing out at Landing Zone 1 at Cape Canaveral. History was made. SpaceX is not just an upstart rocket company. They are the reusable rocket company. Much happened in this particular flight. It is a much upgraded Falcon booster. Super cryo fuels were used. There are a tremendous amount of modifications that have been made since the accident that occurred several months ago. And to make a long story short, SpaceX's Falcon 9 delivered 11 satellites to low Earth orbit for Orbcomm, a leading global provider of machine-to-machine communication and Internet of Things solutions. The Orbcomm launch was set up from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral. The 11 satellites were deployed within 20 minutes after liftoff, completing a 17-satellite low Earth orbit constellation for Orbcomm. This was SpaceX Falcon 9 return to flight, and it was also their first attempt to land a first stage on land. And yes, they stuck it. Things are going to change from here. There's no question that what happened here was not just revolutionary, but part of an evolutionary process that will eventually allow space to not only be more accessible, more cost-effective, but an everyday thing. And wouldn't that be remarkable? We'll have more on this tomorrow, but in the meantime, congratulations to SpaceX, to Elon, to all of his crew, and all of our friends over there who have done extraordinary work. God's work. Amazing. Bravo. For the Aero-News Network, Airborne and Aero-TV, I'm Jim Campbell.
To no one's surprise, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia ruled that the FAA can shut down the flight-sharing website Flight Now. Flight Now attorney John Riches said, quote, "This is a huge blow to innovation and entrepreneurship in general aviation," end quote. Flight Now, which is a business that uses the internet to connect private pilots with passengers wishing to share travel plans and flight expenses, similar to the Uber business model, had sued the FAA for shutting down the website in 2013. In 2013, the FAA determined that the process of posting a planned trip on a website constituted advertising and that subjected the private pilots to the same regulations that pilots for a commercial airline would have to meet. So they forced Flight Now to shut down. Riches continued, quote, "Courts give extreme deference to regulatory agencies, often at the expense of innovation. In this decision, the court relied on that regulatory deference, and the result is less choice for consumers and less innovation in general aviation," end quote. A bill has been introduced in Congress to legalize flight-sharing websites like Flight Now by Congressman David Schwickert. The FAA has issued a new fact sheet regarding state and local regulation of unmanned aircraft systems, which provides information for states and municipalities considering laws or regulations addressing UAS use. The fact sheet provides examples of state and local laws affecting UAS for which consultation with the FAA is recommended, such as restrictions on flight altitude or flight paths, regulation of the navigatable airspace, and mandating UAS-specific equipment or training. The fact sheet also gives examples of UAS laws likely to fall within state and local government authority, such as law enforcement requirements to obtain warrants in some cases, prohibition on the use of UAS for voyeurism, and other examples that relate to activities but do not address involvement in the national airspace system. While this fact sheet should be of help to local communities, Forbes.com points out that it contains a omission regarding the time frame of the new registration rules that could lead to confusion. It seems that this panicked rush to action by the FAA on drone registration is going to lead to problems. After the break, Breitling bails as Reno Air Race sponsor.
Now certified, Aspen Avionics single-band ADS-B, ATX-100, and ATX-100G transceivers are the next-gen ADS-B solution that provides the features pilots need while keeping flyaway costs low. Check it out now at aspenavionics.com.
Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.
AML's patent-pending wireless induction charging system eliminates confusion over those charging cables, cuts down cockpit cable clutter, and allows you and your passengers to fly cordless and eliminate the cable nightmare. www.aviationmodificationleaders.com.
Welcome back. If you have a story suggestion for Airborne Unlimited, Aero-TV, our website or podcast, just email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Swiss watchmaker Breitling has ended its 12-year relationship with the National Air Races, better known simply as Reno, leaving the organization seeking a new title sponsor for the event. The race saw some hard times in the past few years, due in part to the recession and an accident in 2011 that fatally injured pilot Jimmy Leeward and 10 people on the ground. Breitling stuck with the races through the lean times. Reno Air Races CEO Mike Crowell said that Breitling made its decision in October, but had not made that information public until now. Breitling had brought its jet demonstration team to Reno for the first time in 2015. Crowell said that the Blue Angels are on schedule for the 2016 event, which is planned for September 14th through the 18th at Reno Steed Airport. Crowell said other acts will be announced next month. Every Tuesday, we look ahead at some of the more interesting events in the aviation universe. However, when Old Man Winter hits and the air shows and fly-ins take some time off, there are still hundreds of aero locations that don't care about the cold weather. Here's some to think about. The golden age of aviation coincided with the golden age of Art Deco architecture, and while many airplanes of that age are still around, the Art Deco airline terminals are gone. An exception to this is the Air Terminal Museum located on the William P. Hobby Airport in Houston. The classic airline terminal is now a museum, showcasing the rich heritage of civil aviation. It's where Houston's aviation history comes alive. The National Airline History Museum is located in Hangar 9 at the Kansas City, Missouri downtown airport. This airport was once the hub of airline activity for Trans World Airlines, and the museum features displays and real airliners from the past that tell the story of airline history. They have a lot of classic airplanes, but our favorite is their Lockheed Constellation, arguably the most distinctive airliner ever built. The Beechcraft Heritage Museum, located in Tullahoma, Tennessee, tells the story of the Beechcraft Company, Walter Beech, and his one-time partners Clyde Cessna and Lloyd Stearman. They have a stunning collection of Beechcraft airplanes on display that they've accumulated over the years through donations or loan. It would seem logical that the Hiller Aviation Museum, located in San Carlos, California, would be the place to find the history of whirlybirds. It is that, but it doesn't stop there. Dedicated to the dreams of flight, the adventures, and innovations of aviation pioneers, the museum chronicles over a century of aviation history and provides a glimpse into air transportation's future. If you would like to share an Aero event or Aero location with our viewers, email earl@aero-news.net. After these messages, Norwegian pilot flies the F-35.
Concorde's recombinant gas RG series sealed battery technology produces a high-performance battery with the advantages of being pre-tested and fully charged at the factory. Find out more about Concorde's entire line of batteries at www.concordebattery.com. Concorde, the heart of your aircraft.
Sandia introduces the new SAI 340 Quattro TSO'd airspeed, attitude, altitude, and slip. With integral backup battery, safety never looked so good. See it now at www.sandia.aero.
The KSN 770 is an affordable, WAS-enabled integrated MFD with a flexible hybrid user interface from Bendix King. Get your fingers on the 770's perfect blend of touchscreen and hard buttons. Easily control your GPS navigation, Navcom, weather, traffic, and terrain in any condition. For more information, go to bendixking.com.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
Welcome back. With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we're summarizing some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch. Major Morten Hansch, a Royal Norwegian Air Force F-35 Lightning II student pilot, flew the first Norwegian F-35 sortie at Luke Air Force Base last week. Hansch is training with American pilots to become Norway's first F-35 pilot and instructor. SpaceX is looking ahead to a launch in January from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. The California launch would boost the Jason 3 spacecraft into orbit for NOAA. Jason 3 is designed to maintain long-term satellite altimetry observations of global sea surface height. The European Space Agency and Arianespace have signed a launch services contract for the James Webb Space Telescope. It will be orbited in 2018 by an Ariane 5 ECA launch vehicle from the Guiana Space Center, Europe's spaceport in French Guiana. The United States and Cuba reached a bilateral agreement Wednesday to establish scheduled air services between the two countries. This arrangement continues to allow charter operations and establishes scheduled air service for authorized travel. China Southern Airlines has committed to the acquisition of 80 Boeing 737 airplanes. Boeing said the commitment includes a combination of 30 next-generation 737s and 50 737 MAX airplanes valued at over $8 billion at current list prices. Well, that's our trip around the patch. Now let's move on to the rest of the news. The Airbus-sponsored Perlan project is going to attempt to fly a glider to the edge of space, and it's reported that they will be practicing over the mountains at Minden, Nevada over the next few months. Television station KOLO reports that Perlan project chief pilot Jim Campbell will be flying the aircraft around Minden, which he says has, quote, some of the best waves in the United States, end quote. The flights will help prepare him for the record attempt to 90,000 feet in Argentina next summer. Airbus says that the project is about more than breaking a record. They say it's also about the effects of global warming at higher altitudes and how ozones get created over the poles. Alan McArthur, the CEO of Airbus Group, says that it is his hope that the Perlan 2 mission will inspire some students to take more of an interest in STEM subjects and pursue careers in science. Well, that's our program for today. Remember to get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily Monday through Friday with additional breaking news bulletins for important stories that fall outside of our normal deadlines. Please join us and a growing roster of over 100 outstanding industry associations and organizations every weekday for the best in aviation and aerospace news from the staff of the Aero-News Network, the aviation world's most comprehensive news and information resource.